Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would have a look at the rest of the league list on this weekend. Right now I'm preparing for the Twitch drops, which are going on for this whole week. We're going to be doing basically 24-hour setups, 12-hour streams each, and if you want to come along, make sure to check out the Twitch channel so you can get some free stuff for War Thunder. So that's why you see basically an artist's rendition of me instead of my actual webcam. So let's get into the vehicles and the rest of them that are on this list. As I said, this list was pretty long and it contained a lot of stuff. Weirdly enough, a lot of it from the past developers the last few months. Looks like somebody got lazy. As always, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get looking into these vehicles. The first one is the FV432 30mm RCWS. This is basically a, well, it's what it says on the tin. The FV432 is very much the British M113, basically a personnel carrier. And somebody decided to make it a little bit more aggressive by adding the 30mm RCWS system, which is the same as you can see on the Namer, and also many other vehicles which haven't come to the game yet. Generally, what you'll see here is something that will be able to pack a punch, but also just on a very light platform. You can also see all of the additional kind of protection it has on the sides and also the front of it, giving it a little bit more survivability, but also extra weight to make the suspension scream. What's hilarious, when this got past the devs, it actually got put in the Israel section, even though this is obviously a British vehicle. But the reason why they put it in the Israeli section is obvious. There aren't that many suggestions for Israel, so they wanted to put another one in there for them. Then you have another Israel vehicle. This is an F-16B Block 5 Nets. Basically, what this is an upgraded version of the F-16B. Remember, if you have a look at the A or the C F-16, that denotes the single kind of pilot version, whereas the B and the D are the dual versions. So you can see here it does have two kind of pilots. This means that it can be used for training and also other stuff. Basically, this is an upgrade of the standard F-16 which the Israelis have, and it means that it gets additional countermeasures on it. It also means that it gets access to the Python 3 AEM and even possibly JDAMs and the new Block 15 elevators on it too. So just a slight improvement over what is already there, but the main thing would be the weaponry for people to have a bit of fun with. The next one is actually really cool, and kind of surprised that this hasn't actually made it to the game yet. It's the T-33. The Lockheed T-33 is kind of the quintessential jet trainer aircraft of the Western world. So basically, you may see a striking resemblance to a few of the vehicles that are already in the game, such as the P-80, or actually nowadays it's known as the F-80, which is in War Thunder, and that's because it was based off of it. What they wanted to do was to make kind of a universal trainer, so not just America could kind of learn how to fly jets, but also the rest of the world. So this vehicle, the T-33, got farmed out to millions of nations who were basically going in to their jet era, and therefore it was used to train pilots on how to fly jets, because obviously going from propeller aircraft to jets was a big setup. This was used all over the world, in places such as China. Canada obviously used it a lot, Denmark did as well, even Germany and Italy and Japan as well. The specific suggestion is for the Japanese one, but you name a country and there is some kind of link between them and the T-33, which is just kind of wild. Now, this thing technically did have the capacity to carry some bombs and rockets and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if it had a gun. I suppose it depends which one you look at and also what it could carry in terms of gun pods. But as a jet trainer, it would be really interesting to see, and one of the things we've seen more recently with War Thunder is more jet trainers, especially with the one coming in for the Russian tech tree recently. Talking about another jet trainer, we have the not the T-33, sorry, we just talked about that one. This one is the T-55. This is another jet trainer but this one is the Vampire, as you can tell. So once again, this is kind of the same story as the T-33. The Japanese were looking to go into their jet age, and they wanted a bunch of trainers to be able to actually learn it. You can see the difference between the standard Vampire and this T-55. This one has a dual cockpit for training purposes. This one's actually really well preserved in a museum in Japan. And also this one has been used in quite a lot of air shows and also just kind of advertisement for the Air Force over the years for Japan, which is kind of fun. This one also was armed, so it had the 20 millimeters that the standard Vampire had. So this was an armed trainer instead of one which doesn't have any guns, which obviously makes quite a large difference. For naval, we have a few ships. First of all, you have the Hachijo, I think, for Japan. This one is just a standard like escort kind of ship deal. So it's as big as a destroyer, but it has a lot less armament. 3 120 millimeters, and then also had a bunch of 25 millimeters on it. Since this basically was used during the Second World War, they wanted it to be able to deal with as many aircraft as possible. It didn't really have that much of an interesting service life, and also at the same time, it's basically just 3 120 millimeters. Talking about something that's a bit more interesting, we have this. This is the Chokai, and the Chokai is a Takao class heavy cruiser, so it would be another Takao class, which, by the way, a million of them I feel like have been suggested or at least put into the game. This one has the 203s or the 208s on it, or the 20 centimeter guns as they're known, the ace inches, and you can see them on the front here, and then also on the back. It's basically has 5 dual sets of them, so you'll have a lot of firepower. You can see the 3 turrets here, and then also 2 on the back. What it also gained over its years of service was a metric ton of AA armament, just like all of these types of vehicles for Japan. So it actually ended up with a ridiculous amount of 25 millimeters to try and get it sorted. Unfortunately, this vehicle was sunk basically at the Battle of Samar. It ended up being scuttled after taking heavy bombardment, basically meaning that it was absolutely no use to try and save. It does have the fun torpedoes, and also being a heavy cruiser, does have a little bit of armor, not as many as others, but still pretty good. Another vehicle as well that we have right here is the Hibiki. The Hibiki was past the devs, like I think maybe 1, 2, or 3 months ago. It's just a Fubuki. I don't know, like we've talked about Fubuki class destroyers millions of times. It has the 127s, it has 25 millimeters, it has the torpedoes, which aren't as good as the other ones because this vehicle is a little bit earlier in terms of when it was put into service. Also, this thing, once again, we actually talked about earlier in this league list because this was the Verni when it was given over to the Soviet Union as a war prize. But when it was given over as a war prize, it was very much more dismantled instead. So technically, it's in Soviet service, it had 6 130mm guns, a bunch of 25s and 12.7s on it, whereas in Japanese service, it would have its 127s and also 25s. So a little bit different in terms of how it's set up. One vehicle I'm surprised we haven't seen yet, the Gripen E. The Gripen E is obviously a direct upgrade of the standard Gripen. And after getting the Eurofighter into the game, the F-15E, and also many others, I honestly thought we would get this as well. Basically, the Gripen E has a much better engine, the F414 GE39E. It also gets a better AESA radar, and also supplemented by an IRST sensor. This means that it is much more deadly than it was previously, and also it basically can carry a bunch of other stuff too. The actual radar on it is the Leonardo ES-05 Raven Active Electronically Scanned Array Radar, and the infrared search and track sensor is also the Leonardo Skyward G. It also has a 360-degree Morse and other kind of internal electronic components, which make it very, very good. And it has more hardpoints. It actually has 10 in total and can also carry more fuel. So as I said, this is just a direct upgrade over what we already have. and I'm kind of surprised we haven't already seen it. Then we have a truck. So this, once again, was past the developers, I think last month or the month before. This is the Panzerbill M31, and it's basically a truck where the good old Swedish just attached a bunch of random armor plates that they found on it and a little gun. This was designed to be able to defend some of the outer areas of Sweden against attacks if there was ever paratrooping attacks during the Second World War, or if somebody decided to invade. Don't know how useful it would have been, but at least as a truck, it does look kind of fun, and I don't know its usefulness in War Thunder. Not sure its gun depression would be great, but c'est la vie. Who knows? Maybe it might have been kind of useful. But yeah, I think there was only one of these made, or maybe a few of them made in different configurations, because basically the way that they were built, where stuff was just bolted on them to try and give them additional armor, so therefore they could be quickly moved around to deal with threats that came in. And I mean, in War Thunder, I suppose you could add these things in, but they are kind of ridiculous vehicles. The last one is cool though. This is the good old M41DK1. Now, the M41DK1 is a upgrade to the Bulldog that the Danish did. So very similar to the M24 DK, apart from this one did have some additional cool stuff. So basically, they added a new engine in it, which I think is kind of cool. Basically, just a more powerful diesel one. They added some smoke launchers on it. You can see them on the side here. They also gave this thing access to 76mm APFS DS ammo, which is really cool. They added a new 7.62mm coaxial gun, and at the same time, they also added a searchlight, a laser rangefinder, some night vision as well. So just a comprehensive upgrade of the standard Bulldog. One thing I don't think they did, though, is gave a stabilizer to the gun, but I might be wrong about that. I've just never read about the fact that this one would have one. So yeah, that would be missing out, but everything else would be there, which would be kind of cool. There's also a few other extra things that are in this leak list, which, I mean, if you haven't clocked on yet, this leak list is probably fake. There's many things in it that could easily come to the game, but there are also many others that would make absolutely no sense. But basically, you have new US pilot models, which of course will come in the future anyway. IFF radar lock. I mean, I don't know why that wouldn't come in either. Turbulence and crosswinds. We already have that. Updated Challenger 2 netting texture to match the more recent vehicles with nets. So obviously somebody's a fan of British vehicles. Graphical updates for long distance heat phase. That is also something that was suggested to the moderators, suggested to the developers last month. So very odd that that would be in this. Immersive sights. When your sights are destroyed, a large crack will appear in it when in sniper mode. That's another thing that also was suggested to the developers maybe 6 months ago. Brimstone missile update, because of course everybody wants that lock on after launch feature. And then Frozen Pass and Ardennes updated, which actually would make sense because they're having so many issues with the maps right now. Might be time to update them anyway. So that's the list. Come and join the streams later on. Peace be with you as always, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.